No, I see your face and many other people's faces. What I'm trying to do is to see if I can get you into the presenter's view. That then allows me to view options. Chabo Mokoti says your PowerPoint is powerful. He's gone through all of it already.
You can't, you can't see it. You can only see the first page.
Yeah. Right, let's do speaker's view. I thought I've done it on speaker's view. We'll see.
Thank you.
We are 2 minutes away. Like a lion, you roar, Mr. Mnyakeni.
It's hard.
Conversations. My name is Sipho Mnyakeni, co-founder of Empowerment, which is part of EmpowerWorks. And thank you for choosing to join the digital conversations hosted by Empowerment. It is a monologue, and your mics will be muted, and sometimes your videos. The views of the speakers are theirs and not those of Empowerment. We are just providing a platform for these crucial talks during this lockdown period. We'd like to thank the speakers firm for organizing the speakers. There are going to be 4 topics today, starting with the one that Mr. Sipho Mnyakeni will talk about, and then I'll mention the other 3 as the day at the end of it. Why the empowerment platform, especially now during this lockdown period? From Empower Men, we like to change the narrative from pointing a finger at men to inviting men to play their part in finding suitable solutions to the crucial social challenges of equality. We like to equip men to rise above the stereotypes, the status quo, and become holistically great men. We want to inspire men to fight for all the right reasons, to stand up for all the right things, and unapologetically embrace all things to be a man. And lastly, I guess we want to provide an inclusive platform that challenges every person who calls himself male, no matter their position in life, sexual preference, stature, or nature, or to become active agents of change at home, at work, and in their community. For all the people that want to directly hook up with us via Zoom, please send your details to our WhatsApp number 082 088 5262 or visit the Empower Men website. I'd like to welcome everybody that is joining us on our live streaming on the following digital platforms: the EmpowerWorks YouTube, Instagram at Empower Men, Twitter at Empower Men, Facebook at Empower Men, and we are I am Empower Men. Today's speaker is Sipho Mnyakeni. He's a speaker, he's an author, and a presentation skills coach. The topic that he wants to take us through this afternoon is the problem of the small penis, expressions of toxic masculinity. Over to you.
Good morning, good day, and that is Chaba. Thank you very much for the opportunity and to empower men and empower works and speak. I appreciate the platform. I know it is very provocative. I am sure 1,000 questions are arising in people's minds on what I'll be speaking about. I'll be addressing 3 things. Firstly, I'll talk about assumptions and insecurity, toxic thinking that cause insecurity, toxic thinking habits, and then towards the end, I'll deal with how to get rid of it or how to deal with it. Recently, a very controversial lady on Twitter, whose name is Ntigi Mazwai, tweeted something which got Twitter running mad. And this is what she said: I find that South African men are generally small-sized penis men. It's a very quick statement. It's a simple statement, but it caused, I don't know, it caused a hullabaloo in society. People tweeted, some blocked, called it fall. Why? It's because she touched on what I call the studio, a space that you do not touch, telling men that their penises are small. In society, we know, even when people part after a long relationship, people can be involved for 10, 20 years. And when they separate, the lady will throw the last insult. I call it the lowest insult. And she will say, anyway, your penis is small. After 20 years, which means it's an insult that many men are not prepared to deal with. Many men are not prepared to deal with this insult. That my penis is small. Let me tell a short story that gave rise to this topic. Many years ago, I used to be part of a band, an organization that sang. I was playing keyboards in a band, and we'd go out and perform in various towns. Sometimes we'd sleep in hotels, sometimes we'd sleep in a tent where there's no accommodation. But everybody slept there. Guys, the top pastors, the top leaders, our chairpersons, they all slept there. One day in the morning, when we woke up taking a bath, one of our leaders, who shall remain nameless, took water, put it in a tub, and started bathing, and he took off all his clothes. What got me amazed by this gesture is the fact that he he was totally naked in front of us. He did not do what many of us do when we get naked in front of people. We hide, we turn around and we hide our private part. He was just openly washing, facing us, chatting with us. I was still young, but I looked at him and I thought, what a lesson to be learned here. First of all, I noticed that, I had never took in the job to look around and see who has the biggest or the smallest. It really didn't matter to me. But in my head, after much talks with my peers, I thought, it's supposed to be very big. The bigger it is, the more important that you are. But I looked at it, it was normal. It was not big. It was just okay. But I didn't see in him any sense of shame at the size of his manhood. And this gave an arise in me that sometimes there are assumptions that we make that lead us to certain actions, but which are not backed up. Why do we have a sense that the size of your manhood determines even your attitude in life? Why is it that many men, but not only big, but perceived to be bigger than it is, but also that it is seen to be big, either by, showing it off in very subtle ways or whatever. So that day when I bathed with my leader, I call it, I bathed with my father. That day when I bathed with my father, I realized that there are many assumptions that need to. I start today by saying there are premises that are fatal in our lives. I had a premise that this is how big it's supposed to be. This is how, that's a premise I had. That day I learned that there are premises that are fatal that need to be dealt with. These premises clog our path. And I'm asking, is your life built on truth or false premises? Premises affect your decision making. Many decisions that you make are premised by some thinking. There are things that you, for example, if you get into a relationship with a premise that says, you will know what I'm thinking. If a person says, you will know what I'm thinking, it's a premise that's dangerous for a relationship because it blocks communication. Instead of me telling you exactly what I'm thinking, I assume you know. So instead of speaking, I just turn and I get angry. Why are you angry? Why you booze? I assume you know. So there's a premise that is fatal to the relationship. I hope we are together. There's a premise that's fatal to the relationship. So here's my thesis. Toxic masculinity is caused by a lot of premises that come. We rise as men with premises, with assumptions that we've already adopted. There's a very wonderful book that's written by, is it Miguel, where he speaks about the 4 agreements, he says, 4 agreements that you need to have with yourself. Be impeccable with your word, he says, meaning always say what you mean and mean what you say. Number 2, don't take anything personally. Each of these is a lecture on its own. Then number 3, don't make assumptions. That's the one I'm addressing today. Don't make assumptions, because it's assumptions that lead you to take decisions which cause friction at the end of the day. The last one, he says, always give 100%. But let's talk about these assumptions that people make. Let's talk about these assumptions that cause us to be toxic. What are these assumptions? I spoke about how we assume how your manhood should be. The size of your manhood determines how important you are. It's an assumption that has led many to become toxic and abusive. Insecurity number one is comparison. Once you get into a relationship with a low self-esteem, you will be prone to abuse people. You get in there unsure of yourself, always comparing yourself to other people, spending every minute of your life looking at others and looking at yourself and deciding whether are you better than them or they're better than you. Sometimes no one is better than the other. There's a running debate about Messi and Ronaldo. I hope you'll agree with me when I say to you, Messi and Ronaldo, no one is better than the other. They are both good at what they do. We must reach that level as men, instead of thinking that there's someone who always has to be above others. If you see your partner speaking to someone and to another guy, to another lady, to another guy, how do you feel? There are men who just get pumped up, angry, and you ask, why are you angry? I'm angry because I saw my partner speaking to someone. What makes you think they're speaking something that brings you down? Don't you think they're speaking about the weather? They're speaking about work, but you made an assumption instead of waiting to hear who was that. If important, what were you talking about? And so comparison is a dangerous insecurity expression. It's dangerous. It's dangerous because it causes you never to relax. You will never relax. I'll get to others soon. Secondly is compensation. Compensation is when you regard yourself as insufficient and then you catch up using other means. Sometimes you develop, a new habit so that you might compensate for something else. Sometimes we feel emasculated and then we treat our partners as beneficiaries instead of partners. What do I mean? I mean, sometimes you look at your partner and you always want to provide for them, always giving them something, compensating for the perception that you've got a small manhood. Therefore, in order to raise this in a conversation, what do? You always provide, you always give. Now, no problem in giving. Here's the problem. One day, you realize that she has a new phone that you did not buy, and you get angry. Who bought you that phone? Because I did not buy it. Now, this is the problem, because it means you think you're the only one who's got the capacity to provide for her or give for her. She does not have her own means of getting her phone. I promise you, I've heard a man ask his wife, where did you get that dress? Because I never bought it. You want to be so controlling, which is another one which I'll discuss now, that you want to control the type of clothes that she's going to wear. Then the third one is competition. Constantly competing with others. Any achievement by other people feels like an attack to yourself. Have you ever noticed when somebody says, hi, my name is Sipho, I want to introduce my book. It's called Dear Oliver Tambo. Instead of the second person acknowledging my book and saying, wow, wonderful, oh, how much is it? What does it talk about? They quickly jump into a defense mode where they say, oh, nice book, I also have a book. The tendency to always bring your own achievements when other people are presented, when a spotlight shines on another person, you want it to also come to you. That's also a sign of insecurity, competing. Do you know a story of a lady who went out with a guy? This guy spent the whole evening speaking about himself, the whole evening speaking about himself. I've got a degree, I've been to China, I've been there and there. And the lady was now simply bored. And the guy noticed, and the guy said to the lady, oh, I'm sorry, man, I know we've been talking about me the whole night. Let's talk about you now. What do you think about me? This guy is unable to allow any conversation to happen without him being part of the conversation. And number four, there are only five. Number four, compulsion. When you feel forced to do something. when all of a sudden things you do are not because you want to, are not because they are part of your desires or dreams. You do them because you have to. You are of insecurity. You have to. And it makes you also prone to forcing others to do things. All of a sudden, your partner must obey you. Obey. Now, obey, I want to use it in a context where somebody must do whatever you say, no questions asked. No questions asked. No need to provide a reason. Just do what I said you must do. Why? Because I am me. That's a sign of insecurity. And the last one, control. Many women are victims of this. Many men, their toxicity is perfected in how they want to control their partners. Many women live under extreme introspection. I mentioned earlier, what are you wearing? Where are you going? Who are you talking to? Who just called you? That's an expression of control that is very dangerous. Sometimes a man says, I do this out of love, but check your love. Check your life. It might be an expression of how insecure you are. That when your partner is in a festival or wherever, if you have allowed them that day to go out, then you must call them every 2 minutes to ask, where are you? Are you in the grocery? Are you in the supermarket? Yes, I'm in the supermarket. Use the phone to the spinach. Let me check. That's how ridiculous we are getting. Some women cannot even visit their families because this control freak wants to control even your visit to your family. You are no longer a partner. You are now a property. I'm speaking about assumptions, premises that cause us to be insecure until we express it in these ways that I've just shown you. Now, this toxicity is also expressed in our thinking habits, because most people who are toxic are not aware that they are toxic. For them, it's a natural thinking process, which is toxic. I mean, if you want to deal with it, you must deal with the thinking process. There's emotional reasoning. You know, people who reason with emotions. Because I suspect something, therefore it is true. Have you ever attacked someone because of a suspicion? No, come here. No. I know there's something you're doing because I feel it. I feel it. What do you mean? You cannot allow your emotions to be your platform for reasoning. Emotional reasoning is frustrating for your partner because they can't argue with your gut feelings. It doesn't matter what they say. They don't know. They cannot get into your feelings and undo those feelings. Do not allow your emotions to reason for you. Someone says, if I feel guilty, it means I am guilty. No. Emotions can be misleading. Some people would, block each other every day. Some people say it's a natural relationship. I think it is toxic, where people are in a relationship and they block each other and they curse each other and they dump each other every day. That's toxic. Someone between them has allowed their emotions to be their platform for reasoning. The second one is mind reading, which is very popular, where people want to read your mind. Someone wants to read your mind. Your insecurity puts imaginary judgmental thoughts in other people's heads. You look at them and you think you know what they are thinking. This results in clashes that cannot be solved because they are not based on reality. They are based on my own insecurity, where I read your mind. If you speak to someone, never assume what they are thinking. Never assume what they are thinking. Don't say, no, I saw you looking up, so clearly you were bored. You do not know. Do not read my mind. I think an open communication demands that I ask. If there's doubt about how I'm feeling or what I'm thinking, I must openly ask. Assumptions are an expression of insecurity, which is dangerous for relationship, which turns a good man into a toxic individual. And the last one is personalization. The thinking error here is that it makes everything about you. When your spouse is grumpy, you assume it's something you did. When someone is quiet, you assume it's because they hate you, or there's something you did. Your boyfriend, your friend looks at another guy, an innocent glance, even if you can say, wow, this, look at this guy, those shoes he's wearing. And you'll be like, oh, you mean my shoes are bad? Here's a good example. Have you been in a car with someone and then this person says, commenting about the car that's passing you, and they say, wow, what a nice car. And you'll be like, oh, you want that one? Go and get in that car. It's a stupid argument. It's caused by insecurity, expressed by personalizing something which has got nothing to do with you. Personalization leads you down. Don't remember the 4 agreements of Miguel. Don't take everything personally. Not everything is about you. There are things you must just let go. It was not about you. It was just a comment about something that was happening. And so, in conclusion, we've discussed how there is a premise of how your manhood should be. Now, for those who just joined us, that my topic is based on my lesson I learned when one of the most important people I've lived with, one of the most people I've honored and respected, just went naked in front of me washing himself. And what I saw there was in contrast to what I thought. And he was not worried about it, because now let's talk about this for a second. Your size, is it determined by you, or you are born with it? Why is it that we must not go to sleep because someone thinks ours is smaller than the other one? Why should really we be comparing which is smaller or bigger when they are both doing the same job and it has got nothing to do? Don't compare yourself to other people, even in that space. That's a topic for another day. Finally, how do you deal with insecurity? 3 things I'm going to propose quickly. 1, put your thoughts on trial. In other words, every thought that comes to your head, you must put it on trial. Don't express it. Don't act on it. Ask it a question. Interrogate it in your head. I think she's lying to me. That's a thought. Why? Is the evidence? It's destroyed by hunch. Is there evidence? If there's no evidence, never act on it. Because a hunch is a dangerous determinant of your behavior. Number 1, put your thoughts on trial. Don't act on your thoughts until you've tested them. Number 2, you must always act as if you feel confident. Yes. Remember I said you must not allow your emotions to be your reasoning platform. Sometimes you might feel down. Don't act down. Don't act down just because you feel down. I mean, we who do presentations, sometimes you don't feel as good as you like when you go to present, but you have to stand up, rise up, and brush off that emotional baggage that's on you. Stand in front of people and prepare, present the best presentation you could ever. I'll deal with my emotions later. If your emotions rule you, you are in trouble. I know people say follow your heart, but I think it's dangerous to follow your heart. In the Bible, it is written, the heart is deceitful above all things. So don't trust your heart. Many of you will know that your heart might have led you to a couple of very strange places because you followed your heart. Act as if you are confident. Act like you want to feel, and your feelings will catch up. Act confident. Confidence will catch up. Act brave. Bravery will catch up. Act great. Greatness will catch up. And finally, inoculate yourself against insecurity. 3 things you must do to deal with it. Number 1, put your thoughts on trial. Number 2, act as if you feel confident. Number 3, inoculate yourself against insecurity. Every man needs to understand that insecurity is your portion. You have the potential to be insecure. And so always wake up and inoculate yourself. Remind yourself who you are. Remind yourself that you don't need to compete. Remind yourself you don't need to compare yourself to others, so that when insecurity knocks at the door, already you are ready for it. You must tell people. Now, I want to conclude with this relationship advice. You must tell yourself that when your partner is not in your presence, they are living your life, their life, and there's no need for you to be afraid. Some people like to say, I don't want to lose you, I'm afraid of losing you. I think that's a dangerous statement. Anyone who's afraid of losing you is insecure. Don't be afraid of losing me. Let's live life, let's enjoy life. You must be comfortable that even when I come back at 12 midnight after a meeting, you don't have a fear that, oh, what are you doing now? You know, when people will be like calling a person and the person does not answer the call, and then suddenly you text them, oh, you are busy. In Zulu, they say, oh, busy, hey, Fed. You're busy with other ladies. Huh? You're busy with other ladies. Why are you not answering my phone? Assume, think the reason she's not answering the phone, she's busy with something. She will come back to you. You can't give a person 100 missed calls. Insecurity is the death of us, my brothers. And I think if we are going to be a strong man, we need to deal with this elephant called insecurity. Be confident in who you are. When you've chosen a partner, be confident in them. Most of the guys who've killed, they say, if a lady decides to go to someone else, it's not because you are less better. It's because it's her preference. You remain with your value. Stay strong, stay confident, stay being you. The problem with the small penis is not the penis, is the perception that you've been given about it. Ditch it and let's live. Thank you very much, Mr. Sichaba. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Oh, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, as always, for inspiring and taking us on a journey to demystify and get rid of some of the toxicity that hold us in bondage and imprisons us. I'm going to unmute everybody very soon, but on behalf of Empowerment, thank you very much for coming onto our platform and passionately delivering your powerful and inspiring speech. We're going to continue with the conversations after this one. The next one that's coming through is going to be the boy child and endangered species. That's going to be a little bit later today at 1. That will be followed by don't allow your erection to determine the LGBTQI community. I just want to unmute everybody's hands so that they can give you a resounding.